I've been getting requests to do a video about Mrs. Chun, Jungkook's rumored other half, so I decided to approach this in a unique way using Horary astrology. For those of you who might not know, Horary is a branch of astrology that's more divination based. It's not about birth charts or transits, but rather about asking a question and casting a chart for the moment the question is asked. It's nuanced, complex, and requires careful interpretation. My question was, who is Mrs. Chan and the energies around their union? When I cast the horary chart for these questions, the chart that emerged immediately felt like it was relevant. The ascendant represents the current, in our case it's Jungkook, as we are wanting to get answers about his significant other and his relationship. The ascendant is in Leo, with Mars in Leo conjunct to it. Mars is a natural significator of a young man. In Leo, it denotes strength, masculinity, and confidence. Leo's ruler, the sun, further emphasizes this vibrant, radiant spirit, depicting Jungkook as someone who naturally draws attention and exudes charisma. With the sun in Gemini, Jungkook is portrayed as quick-witted, agile in both mind and body, and light, flexible. The chart also describes his physical features: medium height, dark hair, and strong and active build, broad shoulders, and a warm tan complexion. Supportive trine aspects from the moon and Venus in Aries depict his attractiveness, suggesting large, expressive eyes, a face that leans toward fullness with soft features. Together, these traits paint him physically attractive, masculine, and strong, yet also possessing soft and gentle qualities, and as someone who easily captures the public's attention. When we look to the descendant or the 7th house, the point in the chart representing Mrs. Chun, we find Aquarius ruled by Saturn in Pisces. This combination depicts her as having short to medium height, with a well-composed, lean body, but with certain areas due to Pisces' influence that are soft, fleshy, or rounded. For instance, her face might be round or long, soft and fleshy, but her overall figure is likely to be lean and bony. Saturn and Pisces both lend a pale, cool-toned complexion with sandy or dark, fine hair. She could have smart dark eyes that are watery and deep, the kind that seems to see through you or carry an air of mystery. Saturn is strongly influenced by all the outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. While Neptune in Pisces soften her outward demeanor, Saturn, Uranus, and Pluto imbue her with a certain coldness and detachment. She's not the type to be easily read. She's closed off, reserved, and perhaps even impersonal. Saturn conjunct Neptune gives her an air of mystery and otherworldly allure. She may appear delicate or ethereal, but there is an innate intensity and aloofness to her. She's strongly connected to imagination and creativity. She could be an artist, writer, musician, or someone immersed in spiritual or mystical pursuits. Her work might be impressionistic or abstract, capturing emotions or ideas that others struggle to express. Saturn sextile Uranus adds an element of being forward-thinking and unconventional. She's likely to be ahead of her time, embracing ideas or practices that are outside the mainstream. Her lifestyle or path involves living on the outskirts of what's considered normal. She likely takes pride in her individuality and doesn't feel the need to fit in. In fact, she might even resist the mundane, preferring the company of your own thoughts and imagination. Saturn sextile Pluto brings a deep concentration, intensity, and an undercurrent of obsession to her character. This aspect hints at a powerful inner reserve of focus and determination, likely directed toward a specific passion, hobby, or creative project. Mrs. Chan emerges from this chart as a mystical, creative, and private individual. She embodies the paradox of being both soft and hard, fluid and structured, imaginative and calculating. While she may appear timid and soft, she is also cold, indifferent, and impersonal. Jungkook comes across as assertive, energetic, and lively, characterized by his Leo ascendant and Mars in Leo. His energy is outward. He wears his emotions and intentions on his sleeve, unafraid to show himself. In contrast, Mrs. Chun embodies a much more reserved and introspective presence. While she carries a depth of emotional sensitivity or extrasensory perception, she doesn't express it openly or outwardly. Saturn's influence keeps her contained, while Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto add layers of complexity, mystique, and emotional undercurrents that are not immediately visible. Unlike Jungkook, whose presence is loud and magnetic, Mrs. Chun's energy is cool, distant, and enigmatic. There's an underlying intensity, but it's directed inward, toward personal obsessions, creative passions, or private ambitions. She comes across as more mature, introspective, and perceptive, in contrast to Jungkook's youthful, assertive, and vibrant Mars energy. Saturn as her significator does suggest she's older than Jungkook. Saturn in the 8th house, connecting with the outer planets, suggests that she's not likely involved in the entertainment industry or public life. They hint at a more private existence, perhaps someone who lives on the outskirts. Meanwhile, the Moon and Venus in the 9th house suggests she lives abroad or in a foreign location. This placement also implies that their meeting might happen through travel, whether his or hers, hinting at an encounter that transcends local or familiar surroundings. The moon, a central significator in Horary astrology, can represent either Jungkook, her, or their relationship itself. The moon in Aries, which is a Mars-ruled sign, links her emotionally to Jungkook, indicating awareness or admiration from her side, perhaps as a fan or admirer. Jungkook, as represented by Mars, receives and welcomes the moon in Aries. Jungkook perceives her or the connection as part of his domain, akin to being part of his broader community or fan base. Her approach feels natural and appealing to Jungkook. However, the Sun, also signifying Jungkook, and Saturn, signifying Mrs. Chun, forms a separating sextile, symbolizing a dynamic where Jungkook is moving away or looking elsewhere after their initial meeting. Mrs. Chun's Saturn is applying toward the Sun, emphasizing she's the one reaching out or initiating the contact. Her Saturn's pursuit manifests as intentional effort to connect or create circumstances that bring them together, while Jungkook's Sun seems less invested, as shown by moving away from the contact. This dynamic shows there is a subtle undercurrent of imbalanced interest in their relationship at first, where they aren't seeing eye to eye. Still, the energy is supportive and harmonious. At the time of their meeting, Mrs. Chun is undergoing a significant shift in her life, symbolized by Saturn's position at the finer degree of Pisces, on the verge of transitioning into a new sign, Aries, a new phase that's energetically very different from where she's been. This change of energy reflects a movement from a more passive, reactive stance to a proactive and assertive one. Saturn's transition into Aries suggests a readiness to make change and take initiative on her part. Saturn's past aspects provide insight into Mrs. Chun's life leading up to this point. With Saturn separating from a sextile to Uranus, we see evidence of a major life turning point, a shakeup or disruption that prompted her to seek a new direction or break free from her past. She may have just experienced something that really shook her, or startled her in some way, or simply just a big move or change, possibly related to foreign settlement or change in her career. Looking ahead, Saturn's applying aspects to Neptune and Jupiter show what's to come. The conjunction to Neptune indicates a phase of disillusionment. Her new path may not turn out to be as expected. Things are not as they seem. This creates a sense of instability, with some illusions needing to be confronted. The square to Jupiter warns of overreaching, taking on more than is manageable, or overestimating the promise of a situation. She may struggle to find clarity or stability. In her connection to Jungkook, the situation may feel full of potential, yet her ability to see the situation clearly is challenged. The relationship may feel elusive or too good to be true, leaving her confused about its nature. There may be challenges around money, reflected in Saturn and Neptune in the 8th house of shared or joint financial resources or ventures. From drift houses, the 8th house is also second from the 7th, showing focus on Mrs. Chun's personal finances. Possibly the change of direction or sense of uncertainty may be related to her personal financial circumstances as well. From Jungkook's perspective, the sun's separation from Uranus and Mercury suggests a recent, perhaps sudden ending to a stable situation. It speaks to a possibility of destructive news that caused him to move away from something. With Mercury and Uranus in Taurus, which is a Venus-ruled sign in the 10th house, this could point to a long-term position, either related to his work, career, or personal relationship that abruptly fell apart. Mars on the ascendant further emphasizes themes of conflict and tension, underscoring ambitions driven by status, recognition, or fame, while its trine to Moon and Venus hints at a potential romantic complications. The Moon's conjunction with Venus can suggest the presence of another woman. Together, these elements paint a picture of a possible ending to a romantic connection, one that may have been fueled more by external attention or vanity rather than genuine emotional depth. Meanwhile, the sun separating sextiles to Saturn and Neptune suggests Jungkook's lingering doubts, fears, and questions about trust and sincerity. When Jungkook meets Mrs. Chun, he may approach with caution, wary of repeating past disappointments or disillusionments. Mrs. Chun, whose enigmatic and guarded nature might initially make her hard for him to read or fully trust, he may misinterpret her depth or privacy as ambiguity or potential deception. However, the sun's applying trine to Pluto shows his willingness to face challenges and embrace harsh or dark truths. The harmonious connection between the Moon and Venus also suggests an underlying willingness to compromise, foster trust, and seek emotional harmony. These aspects indicate that while initial caution or misunderstanding might arise, both parties are ultimately inclined toward finding common ground, soothing tensions, and forming connection, helping them to eventually bridge any initial divides or separation. In summary, when Jungkook and Mrs. Chun meet, they will be going through personal changes and shifts that feel unsettling. While they might not form a relationship immediately, they are likely to part ways, only to reconnect later once circumstances have shifted. As for timing, Saturn comes to conjunct the Sun around June 23rd of 2030. So they may initially meet around this time or officially enter into a committed relationship around this time period. I hope this video offered you some fresh and thought-provoking insights, and perhaps even introduced you to a new facet of astrology's depth and complexity. See you next time.